Hi everyone, this is Our Beloved Project, made by Roy Chong, Sabrina Liu, Priscilla Han, Eric Tran, and Julie Lee. Chapter 1. 124 was spiteful. In Cincinnati, Ohio, there was once a house. This house was called 124, and it was haunted by a ghost. People in the house knew it was haunted because mirrors were shattered and tiny handprints appeared in cakes. In this house, there lived a woman whose name was Setha, along with her daughter, whose name was Denver. There were also two boys named Howard and Bugler, but they soon left after signs of the haunting showed up. Setha's mother-in-law also lived with them, and her name was Baby Suggs. She soon died from natural causes. Setha shook her head, soft as cream. Being alive was the hard part. Setha had another daughter, but Setha killed her when the child was still a baby. This baby's name was Beloved. Setha traded 10 minutes of her body with the engraver to get the 7-letter word Beloved on her tombstone. She thought it would be enough, writing among the headstones with the engraver. The engraver's son watched Setha and the engraver. His young son looking on, the anger in his face so old, the appetite in it quite new. One day, as Setha was on her way back to 124, she saw one of her companions from Sweet Home, and his name was Paul D. Garner. They talked about their past at the plantation they worked at, Sweet Home, where men were very lonely because there was a lack of women. Therefore, many of the men had to satisfy themselves instead with cows. Back at 124, Paul D. and Setha were talking in the kitchen. This is when Setha reveals that on her back she has scars resembling a choke cherry tree. She got these scars from being whipped by the school teacher's nephew. Paul D. also took notice that Setha has had too much burden brought onto her by this ghost. So Paul decides to take matters into his own hands. He tries to scare away the ghost from the house. You want to fight? Come on. God damn it. She got enough without you. And upon this, the ghost leaves. Now that the ghost is gone, Paul and Setha look forward to starting a new life. They go upstairs to spend some alone time, while Denver is left downstairs sulking about being left alone and feeling lonely. Chapter 2. The passion and love Paul and Setha felt for each other was no longer. Paul no longer found Setha appealing, even resenting her. He said he would rather remember the times he shared with Sixo on the plantation. Like the time when they were trying to find the perfect way to cook potatoes. Sixo experimented with night-cooked potatoes. He never got it right. He also talked about the time when Sixo traveled 36 miles just to meet a woman. On the other hand, Setha thinks back about what baby Suggs had once told her. A man ain't nothing but a man. But a son, well, now that's a somebody. They encouraged you to put some of your weight in their hands, and soon as you felt how light and lovely that was, they studied your scars and tribulations. Setha also reminisces the wedding she had with Hal, the husband she met back at Sweet Home. Setha had told Mrs. Garner, "Is there a wedding?" "But, I mean, we want to get married." Yet Mrs. Garner just replied with, "You are one sweet child." Chapter 3. We learn about Denver's secret place. Back beyond 124, made of post oaks, 5 boxwood bushes planted in a ring stretching toward each other 4 feet off the ground to form a round empty room 7 feet high, its walls 50 inches of murmuring leaves. Denver could crawl into this room, and once there, she could stand all the way up in emerald light. Setha talks to Denver about how Denver was born, and Setha reminisces the time she first met Amy. Setha was on the floor because her legs were so tired from running for so long. She heard a harsh voice and thought it was a man, so she assumed the defensive position of a snake, only to find it was the voice of a woman named Amy, who was an indentured servant. Amy, who was a white lady, stepped down from social status to help Setha, a black runaway, massage her feet. Amy expressed her kindness and was very patient and considerate towards Setha. When Setha needed to rest, Amy stopped too and talked some more about Boston and velvet and good things to eat. Setha didn't want to talk anymore about her past, so this flashback ended. Denver then tells Setha she saw a white dress kneeling down next to Setha when she was praying, with its sleeve wrapped around her waist. Denver blames Setha for not telling her anything, and Setha says all that's important is the school teacher. When Mr. Garner died, school teacher took over. He was a little man, short, always wore a collar, even in the fields, a school teacher, she said, that made her feel good that her husband's sister's husband had book learning and was willing to come farm Sweet Home after Mr. Garner passed. At the end of this chapter, Setha realizes that what Baby Suggs had said before is right. It is very obvious the house 124 is devoid of color. Baby Suggs was so starved for color. There wasn't any except for 2 orange squares and a quilt that made the absence shout. The walls of the roof were slate colored, the floor earth brown, the wooden dresser the color of itself, curtains white. Chapter 4. Denver starts developing hostile feelings for Paul, and she asks how long he'll be hanging around the house. Paul gets insulted and takes it as being cussed out. Jesus. I said Jesus. All I did was sit down for supper. And I get cussed out twice. Excuse me, but I can't hear a word against her. I'll chastise her. You leave her alone. As Paul D and Setha are fighting, Setha sends Denver away to her room. Paul tries to convince Setha that she can let him into her life. Setha, if I'm here with you, with Denver, you can go anywhere you want. Jump if you want to. 'Cause I'll catch you, girl. Go as far inside as you need to. I'll hold your ankles. We can make a life, girl, a life. But Setha merely responds with, I don't know. Setha finally allows Paul into her life, and to celebrate this, Paul takes Denver and Setha to the carnival the next day. He has $2 for them to spend every single penny of, and though Setha is originally reluctant, she eventually goes. Paul hopes this trip would help bring the three closer to one big happy family. At the carnival, Setha sees their shadows are holding hands. This gave her hope that maybe Paul was right and they could find happiness within each other. To be continued.